My name is Elijah Ontiveros, and I'm the Assistant Band Director at Ornado Middle School. I'll be showing you guys how to prepare and practice your all-region band music for trumpet, okay? So first things first, I want to make sure that you guys have your music out, as well as a pencil so you can circle things and take notes, which we'll do a lot in this video, okay? So we're going to be talking about the piece number 132, which is Etude 6. Okay, this is the really technical piece. So finger dexterity is super important, okay? So if you haven't done so already, I'd like for you guys to go ahead and number your measures 1 through 9, okay? Once you've done that, go ahead and circle your key signature, which tells us that we have 3 flats in this piece, which are going to be B flat, E flat, and A flat. Okay, so we're going to see this a lot, okay? So you'll use your pencil to circle all of those. The thing that I would like for you guys to focus on the most when circling your notes are the accidentals. Okay, so we'll cover the accidentals for every single measure, okay? And I'll show you how to approach that. Rhythm-wise, all this, they're all 16ths, so the rhythm stays the same. It's 1 T theta, 2 T theta, 3 T theta, 4 T theta, okay? So that is valid throughout the entire piece, okay? So I'm going to chunk this down into sections. I'm going to do each measure for this video, okay? And we're going to cover the accidentals, and then we're going to play it at a slow tempo, okay? So starting with measure 1, you have 1 accidental there, which you see on beat 3, which is your B naturals. Okay, so B natural is going to be our second valve, which means after that natural has occurred, you're going to play B naturals for the rest of the measure up until measure 2. Okay, so you should have a total of 3 Bs. The B natural on beat 3, right on the downbeat, and then the downbeat of beat 4, and the ta, 1 T ta, the very last note of that measure. Okay, so the way we're going to practice this is we're going to slow our metronome way down. I have my metronome set to 50, but I'm going to be playing these as 8th notes rather than 16ths. This will help you get the fingerings down very quickly, okay? So you can set your metronome at 50, but you're going to play them as 8th notes. I'll show you how. Okay, so that's how we're going to do the whole video. Make sense? Section 2, which is measure 2, go ahead and scan over. We don't have any accidentals. Okay, so B flats are going to be first valve, E flats are 2 and 3, A flats are also 2 and 3. So same thing, we're going to play them as 8th notes, and this is how that measure goes. Measure 3, we do have accidentals, okay? So go ahead and take your pencil. You'll go ahead and circle the B naturals. So all the B's in this measure, every single one of the B's in this measure is going to be played with your second valve. Okay, so circle every B, and it's going to be with your second valve. Okay? Then we look at our A natural on beat 3. And that tells us that the rest of the A's in measure 3 only are going to be played as A natural, which is 1 and 2. Okay, and it goes like this. Okay. Measure 4, we see our B natural right at the beginning. So all the B naturals in this measure are going to be played with our second valve. Okay. We see our C sharp on the last note of the first beat, which is C sharp 1, 2, and 3. So go ahead and circle that. That's 1, 2, and 3. When we get to the last beat, beat 4, on the 1 T te, that's a C natural. That one's going to be open. Okay, so that C is C natural, so go ahead and circle that, and circle the last 2 accidentals of that measure, okay? So it goes like this. Measure 5, we don't have any accidentals, okay, and it's kind of like the beginning again, okay, so measure 5. Measure 6, we do have accidental, which is going to be our E. So right at the beginning of the measure, E natural. So all of our E's in this measure are going to be 1 and 2. So go ahead and circle all of your E's, letting you know that you have to finger them 1 and 2. Okay? Measure 6. Okay, don't forget our A flats in that measure are going to be 2 and 3, okay? Moving on to measure 7, no accidentals, but I would like for you guys to circle the high E flats. High E flat is going to be played with our second valve. Okay, so we're playing high E flats with our second valve, okay? So I would like to do measure 7, okay? So our tonguing changes here. Now we're going to tongue on beats 1 and beat 3, okay? Measure 8. Measure 8, we have 1 accidental on beat 3, which is our F sharp. So that F sharp is going to be fingered as our second valve. So go ahead and circle that one. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and play it. Same articulation applies. Tongue on beats 1 and the beginning of beat 3. Okay, measure 9. This is where our pencil comes in real handy. Okay, you have an accidental on every single beat. So in the first beat, go ahead and circle that high F sharp, which is going to be played with our second valve. Measure 2, the C sharp is going to be played 1 and 2. Beat 3, go ahead and circle your B natural, which is going to be played with your second valve, and your C natural, which is going to be played open. And then beat 4, go ahead and circle your F, which is F natural, F sharp, second valve, and your A flat, which is going to be 2 and 3, okay? So this has a bunch of accidentals, okay? So this is where slowing down the tempo and playing all of this as eighth notes really, really helps you, okay? So this is measure 9. Okay. Also, the other thing I forgot to mention, each beat now is going to be tongued since we don't have those ties going on, so we don't slur everything now, okay? So now I'm going to go ahead and play the whole thing for you guys, and I'm going to leave the metronome at 50 so you guys can hear it, and you can finger along with it, okay? I'm going to be playing these as eighth notes right now, okay? So these are eighth notes. Okay, so that's very, very hard to do at a slow tempo, which is why we really want to practice it slow, so when we build it up, it's not as taxing on our face and we don't have to take as many breaths, okay? So that's how you start it, okay? Then once you start to build up the tempo, then you can, once you start to get the fingerings and everything comfortable on your horn, you can stay at the same tempo, but then you can turn it into 16th notes, okay? So now I'm going to play the same thing at 50 beats on the metronome, but now I'm going to play them as 16ths, and I'm not going to play them as 8th notes anymore, okay? So this is still under tempo. Okay, so that should be your final bass once you're comfortable with fingerings, all the accidentals, and you have no problem playing it slow, okay? Then once you get there, you can go ahead and speed it up to tempo, okay? So like I said, that was under tempo. Required tempo for this is going to be between quarter note equals 72 to 84, okay? So now I'll play the whole thing again, but I'll go ahead and speed it up, and I'm going to take it at 72, okay? I'll go ahead and mute my metronome so you guys can actually hear what it's supposed to sound like without the clicks happening in the background. But I'm going to go ahead and use my headphones so I can hear the metronome and stay in time, okay? So this is going to be the whole thing up to tempo at quarter note equals 72. Okay, so that's essentially how the entire piece goes, okay? It's really important that you guys play this slow and then speed it up to tempo, because as you saw there, they did not write breath marks, okay? So if it was me playing this, once I got this up to 72, I would probably do my best to breathe at the end of measure 4. Okay, that's my recommendation. Then I would breathe also at the end of measure 6. And then if I had to, I would breathe at the beginning of measure 9. Okay? The only thing is, if those markings are kind of far for you guys, then you can go ahead and breathe after the end of every 2 measures, okay? Just make sure you're not breathing after each measure, okay? Because this one is tricky. As you get more comfortable with it and speed it up to tempo, you can also take it up to 84, and then your breaths won't be as hard because you'll be playing a lot faster. Okay, so you guys can go ahead and revert back to this video, fast forward it or rewind it to work on specific sections, and you can play along with me as you're doing so, okay?